Hi there, welcome to 60 Matthews. I'm Matthew, and this video is probably coming out a little bit late, but that's okay, because today we're talking about failure. I'm a weird selective perfectionist to where I like everything to be just right, but I'm also pretty efficient to where if it doesn't really make a difference, then I'll be okay with something just being good enough. And also, as much as I like to design and plan every single minute detail, I also know that there's a lot of room for error. For instance, whenever I was designing my first van, I knew nothing about van life and what my life would look like. So I planned for a lot of those failures to be built into the system of van life. I knew a lot of the stuff was in the wrong spot. I knew a lot of the stuff I brought along I wouldn't use. As I lived the van life, I learned that the couch that I had super designed specifically really just kind of stayed in bed mode most of the time, so all the work that I had done to make it this special piece of furniture was kind of wasted a little bit. So whenever I was building out my second van, I made it a lot more of a blank canvas. I knew I would be able to figure out how this van worked on the road. That way I didn't commit to making a bad decision and realizing that was wrong and then changing it to something else. This kind of logic of accepting and owning up to failure, it's weird to me that that's not more widely accepted. This is my favorite piece of merchandise from my book. It says, "You will fail. I know few real truths, Simon, but that is one of which I am certain." I haven't made it available to the public yet because I didn't think that it would be that popular. Because this line of thinking isn't that popular. In this age of Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube, we all have this idea of perfection that we strive for, where we applaud success and we discourage failure. To the point where if we want to start a new business or if we want to learn a new skill, there are plenty of people out there who are like, yeah, you go for it. But for the most part, people are like, but you better not fail though. And that's just discouraging. Whenever people see me wear this shirt, they always think, well, that's pretty cynical. And the guy who says it is pretty cynical. But this is pretty golden and real practical advice. It's not this kind of empty and almost false advice of shoot for the stars and you're guaranteed to make it. And it's a little bit closer to practice makes perfect. But whenever you go into something knowing that you're going to fail at some point, knowing that you're going to make mistakes, not that you should plan for it or not that you should be okay with it when it happens, but at least knowing that you're not perfect, that's not going to hold you back from attempting to do whatever you want to do. You're bound to face failures at some point. And so whenever you expect that, whenever those failures come up, you're not going to be thrown off. Take Elon Musk and SpaceX, for instance. They have made several mistakes on national and global television that have cost them millions and billions of dollars. And yet, he still has plenty of investors and plenty of people who have faith in him. Not because they know he's perfect, but because they know that he has a solid grasp on what not to do. Failure can be the best teacher sometimes. Sometimes it takes you making a really bad mistake and crawling yourself out of the ashes to realize, whoa, I am never doing that again. And also with our big, grand ideas like making a multi-million-dollar company or being fluent in French, or making it to the moon and Mars. Whenever we achieve these fantastic goals, despite numerous failure after failure that get thrown at us, whenever we look at our successes and say, I did this, we have confidence that we deserve it. It's not like we were just given millions and millions of dollars. It's not just like we can move to France or Spain and be completely fine living there. And it's not like we can just build a rocket in our backyard with stuff we got from Home Depot and light a fuse and then make it up to Mars. We know that whenever we get there, wherever we're going, we deserve it, and we have accomplished something truly great. But also, on the flip side of that, failure can tell us that we are on the wrong track, and we need to do something else. This is where it can get a little bit tricky and into the gray area, where you'll have to decide to go with your gut feeling and persist if you're just really feeling that, or listen to the universe and say, okay, maybe I'll try something else. And maybe that something else was exactly what you needed. Maybe that was the missing piece to the puzzle that you couldn't figure out over here. Or maybe the universe is just testing you. They're trying to see just how dedicated you are to your success. Because failure can weed out the weak. If you're not okay with falling down sometimes and scraping your knee, then you're not going to get very far. You'll probably lead a pretty safe life, but it will also be pretty stagnant. And maybe that will be fine for you. But for the rest of us dreamers and the people who want to accomplish something, that's not going to be enough. I've heard it said before, misappropriately attributed to Albert Einstein, who did not say this, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And that's kind of what you sound like whenever you make these weak and safe decisions that don't really break you out of your comfort zone. And then you complain and wonder why you're stuck in the same boring 9 to 5. Success does not come to those who shy away from failure. Success comes to those who handle it once they experience it. But that's all I have for this week. I hope I've inspired you to get out there and try something great, even if you make a few mistakes, even if you might fail miserably somehow, just so long as you're doing it from a 6-foot distance and while wearing a mask. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.